the call from the hospital. By the time the shouting started, the rain had already begun. It tapped against the windows first, soft and irregular, the way storms sometimes test the air before deciding whether to stay. I was standing near the kitchen sink when my daughter-in-law, Rachel, said my name, in that careful voice people use when they've already decided something about you. I think we need to talk about what's been going on. My son Daniel stood beside the refrigerator, arms folded. He looked tired. He had been working long hours recently, and tension had been drifting through the house like a slow draft under a door. "What's going on?" I asked. Rachel didn't hesitate. "I know you've been moving money around." The sentence landed oddly in the room. "Money," I said. She nodded, calm and precise. "Daniel's been noticing things missing from the household account." Daniel shifted his weight. I looked from one to the other. "I don't even have access to your account," I said quietly. Rachel's expression didn't change. "That's not what the records suggest." Outside, the rain picked up strength, hitting the glass harder now. Daniel rubbed his forehead. "Mom, this isn't the first problem we've had lately." I felt something in my chest tighten, not anger, not yet. Just confusion. "What problems?" Rachel answered before he could. "The late bills. The groceries that disappear faster than they should." I stared at her. For a moment I wondered if this was some misunderstanding that would resolve itself if we all slowed down. But Daniel's patience had already run out. "I can't keep doing this," he said. "Doing what?" "Managing everything. Work, the house, and worrying about whether things are disappearing." I took a step toward him. "Daniel, listen to me, Mom," he said, louder now. "I don't need this right now." The rain slammed harder against the roof. Rachel crossed her arms. "Maybe it's time we were honest about the situation." "What situation?" "That you're sick," she said flatly. "And this house isn't equipped to deal with that." Daniel looked at the floor. Then he said the sentence that would stay with me long after the storm ended. "Just go." I blinked. "What? Get out of my house?" he said. The words came faster now, pushed forward by frustration that had probably been building for months. "I don't need a sick mom turning everything upside down." The room went quiet except for the rain. I waited for him to take it back. He didn't. I walked to the hallway and picked up my coat. My purse was upstairs, but something told me not to go back for it. The house felt suddenly smaller, as if every object had shifted slightly out of place. Rachel didn't follow me. Daniel didn't either. The front door opened with a rush of cold wind. Rain hit my face immediately. I stepped outside. The storm had settled in fully now. Water ran down the street gutters, carrying leaves and small branches with it. My shoes soaked through almost immediately. For a while I walked without thinking about direction. The neighborhood lights blurred through the rain. Cars passed occasionally, their headlights streaking across the pavement. I kept moving because standing still felt worse. Somewhere along the 3rd mile, my legs started to shake. Not from the rain, from the weakness that had been growing quietly in my body for months. I leaned against a bus stop bench and closed my eyes. Memories came strangely in moments like that. Daniel at 6 years old, refusing to ride his bicycle without training wheels. Daniel at 12, insisting he could carry groceries that were clearly too heavy for him. Daniel at 22, hugging me before leaving for his first real job. I wondered when his voice had started sounding so different. The dizziness came suddenly. One moment I was sitting. The next I was on the ground, rainwater soaking through my coat. I remember headlights stopping nearby. A man's voice saying something I couldn't quite understand. Then everything went quiet. When I woke up, the ceiling above me was white and bright. A hospital ceiling. Machines hummed softly somewhere near the bed. A nurse noticed my eyes open and stepped closer. "Good," she said gently. "You're awake." My throat felt dry. "What happened?" "You collapsed outside during the storm," she explained. "Someone found you and called emergency services." I tried to sit up, but the nurse shook her head. "Easy. A doctor entered the room a few minutes later. He carried a clipboard and spoke carefully, the way professionals do when they're balancing information with concern. "You're lucky someone found you," he said. I didn't ask what he meant by that. His tone said enough. They asked if I had family they could contact. I hesitated. But eventually I gave them Daniel's number. 3 hours after I had left the house, the hospital called him. I wasn't in the room when it happened, but later the nurse told me how the conversation changed halfway through. At first, Daniel sounded confused. Then the doctor explained the situation: a woman found alone during a storm, no phone, no money, severe symptoms related to an untreated condition. The doctor asked if he understood how serious it could have been. There was a long pause. That was when my son froze. When Daniel arrived at the hospital, the storm had already passed. He stood in the doorway of my room for several seconds before speaking. His face looked older somehow. I smiled faintly. "Did the rain stop?" I asked. He nodded. Neither of us mentioned the house. Neither of us mentioned the argument. He pulled a chair beside the bed and sat down. The machines continued their quiet rhythm. For a long time, neither of us said anything. And strangely, the silence felt different from the one in the kitchen earlier that night. Not lighter, but more honest.